All right, so it's a beautiful Memorial Day today, and I thought that today was a good day to fire up the furnace. So today's video is brought to you by Asshat Labs and If Baumgard's High Temp Gutting. Anyway, what we got here is this SNG from it's an 831B from Dev. Even when it's picked, it does not open. So what we decided to try is throw it in the furnace, heat it up to a few thousand degrees, melt the brass out, and that should allow us to pull the shackle and everything else. The body should be fine, all the internal components should be fine, since it's all high grade metal, high temp steel and things like that. And my furnace only gets to around 2,000 degrees, 2,200 degrees max, and that's enough to melt the brass, but not any of the steel or anything. So we'll go ahead and drop her in there, set her in a little crucible, and get things fired up. So let's get her started. Alright, we got a nice swirl you can kind of see. There we go. Swirling around there a bit. Next thing we'll do is throw the lid on and crank it up a bit. Alright, we got a nice low roar going now. Can't really see anything yet, but we're going to let it heat up and we'll come back and check on it. Alright, we got a nice roar going. Hasn't been that long. Things are just starting to heat up, but I wanted to peek inside and let you guys see. You can see my flame being fed in there. And you can see it starting to wrap around the other side, hitting itself. Once it warms up a bit more, I'll go ahead and crank up the air pressure a bit more and really get that thing swirling around. But it's heating up nice, so we'll check on back here in a few minutes. Alright, you can see it's glowing nice now. It's getting nice and hot in there. Crucible's heating up. Lock's still kind of dark compared to the rest, but it's heating up good. I'm going to go ahead and turn up the air a bit more. So it's looking good, guys. Looking real good. I'm going to get a temp reading now. Getting up there. Let's take a peek inside. Alright, we'll let her cook for a while. We'll come back and check here in a bit. So I just realized my last temperature reading was done in centigrade, so I'm going to go ahead and try and hold this here and just put the thermocoupler over the top here. We get a good idea of what she's doing. Getting warm. As you can see, about 140 almost, climbing. So we're gonna let her keep cooking. Gotta heat up that brass. Alright, so it's real hot now. I can barely look down there myself, no matter where I go. So I'm gonna tip the camera over the top. Hopefully it won't destroy it, and see if we can get a peek what's going on inside. Okay, well, as you can see, it's white hot in there. Good old S&G's cooking nice. Looks like it's up to temp. I'm gonna let it go for a little bit longer, but I decided that while we're waiting for it, I'd go ahead and put this big nail spike over the top here, see if we can get that a little red, and I just might beat on that a little bit for fun. So we'll let that go for a little bit and see what happens. Alright, we'll check back in here in just a little bit. Alright, well, I'm about ready to check that S&G up. But first I thought I'd go ahead and bang on this nail a little bit, see if I got it warm enough. So I'll just move this over here a little bit. There we go. Make sure I got some glasses on. So I could do some forging with that, it looks like. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it off now, the furnace, pull the lid, and I'm going to lift up on that shackle just to see if it moves freely now or if anything else happens. So shut the gas off. Kill the fan. Whew. Whew. Well, something got really hot in there. You can see it smoking and flaming a bit. We definitely melted the brass. There's no question in my mind about that, because that thing is really hot. There we go. Look at that. Now that's a hot S&G right there. Let me zoom out a bit. We'll try and grab it and see what happens. Oh, wow. Let's see here. get both of these, so I'm just gonna set some fire bricks down. And hopefully I don't have brass running all over the place. I doubt it though. It should be in the bottom of the crucible. Look at that. That thing is red. Yeah. And in the bottom there we do have a little bit of a brass and some other junk. So we'll go ahead and dump that out into my pan and see what it's like. That's something that happens sometimes in furnaces when you don't put paper between the crucible and the plinth. Kind of fuses. Alright, so now we'll just have to let it cool a bit so I can handle this thing. But here we go. There's the remnants of the brass that was still inside. It looks like some of the parts that are not brass have fallen back down into the bottom of the keyway possibly. So we'll let this thing cool and then check her out. Alright, so I've made some progress here. This S&G has cooled off, and I was able to put a screwdriver in through the bottom here and actuate the actuator to unlock it. But due to the heat, it was seized basically, so I put some P-Blaster down in there, and I've slowly been able to work the shackle up. It's not open yet, but it's getting there, so we'll go ahead and crank on it a bit more and see what we can get to happen here. One thing I need to be careful of is damaging anything, because even though this was hardened before, it's normalized now, all the metal has been. So I run the risk of denting it or dinging it, and I want to try and get it back to Dev in as good a shape as I can. So this is going to take a little bit of work. The camera's in the way, so I'm going to go ahead and take this down and work on this a bit more, and I'll hopefully be able to get it open for you guys and show you. Update you later. Alright, so made some more progress here. I was able to get the shackle open. I just put it in my vise upside down like that. Put a metal bar through here, held onto one side, and beat the other side with the hammer. Looking at the shackle, let's see. It looks like it was probably pretty corroded while it was still together before I heated. I'm wondering if it wasn't seized just from something else in there. Not exactly sure. But what I've been able to do now, since I've actuated it to the operating position, is start to get this part to move out so I can take the rest of it apart. But it, like the rest of the lock, is kind of seized in there right now. So I'll keep working on that, and we'll check back in when she's all taken apart. Well, that didn't take near as long as I thought it was going to. It was pretty quick once I put it back in the vise and was able to pry against this on the inside to force it out. But you can see here it's pretty, there we go, pretty dirty in here. And some of that could be from the metal and the combustibles that were stuck up inside. Combustibles, I mean the metals that burned at much lower temperatures than the brass, like the zinc that we saw on fire when I lifted the lock and things like that. I also wonder if the ball bearings weren't actually steel or they were already removed, because no ball bearings came out at all. And here is the actuator, and it's kind of dirty and crusty now from the things inside melting and burning. Nothing a wire brush can't take care of, though. So this is still good. Lock body's still good. This is still good. Looks like all I need to do here is clean this up a little bit. Get this operating a little bit more smoothly, since it likes to still stick a little bit and whatnot. But I'll get it brushed up and cleaned up as good as I can. Get it back to Dev, and hopefully he can get this thing put back together and working again. So there we go. That's how you got a Sergeant and Greenleaf when you can't get it picked open, or you pick it open and it doesn't open, or whatever else. You throw it in a furnace, melt out the insides, and go to town. There we go. Thanks, guys. Alright, so this is the last part of the video, I guess, here. I've got things cleaned up pretty well. They seem to slide in and out of the lock like they should. So I got little brass balls and burrs taken off. You can see in here that's a stainless steel spring, obviously, because it's still there. And this moves again, whereas it didn't before. There we go. Need to put a little bit more lube in there. But the spring has lost its springiness, since it was obviously compressed when I heated it up and cooled off in a compressed state. You can see now it isn't very springy, so that'll probably take a little bit of work. But this part itself is in really good shape, ready to go back in the lock. The actuator cleaned up really nice. Still a few tiny ones on there, but the big ones are all gone. Yeah, so that's good. And then the lock, of course, hasn't been lubed, but closes up, opens up nice, just like it should. So now all I gotta do is lube this guy up a little bit, play with it a little bit more, package it up, and send it back to Asshat Labs for its next phase. Can't wait to see what happens.